Welcome to the modern elite. Let's be honest, the moment a woman is truly attracted to you, everything changes, but not in the obvious way you've been taught to look for. It's quieter than that, more subtle, almost invisible if you don't know what you're watching, because attraction isn't loud, it doesn't announce itself, it leaks, and most men miss it completely, not because they're blind, but because they've been trained to look for the wrong signals. You've been told to look for compliments, flirting, obvious attention, but real attraction, it hides behind hesitation, behind small shifts in behavior, behind things that don't make sense, unless you understand what's happening underneath. When a woman is attracted to you, she doesn't just act differently toward you, she becomes slightly different around you. Her rhythm changes, her energy bends, and if you pay attention, you'll start noticing patterns that no one ever explained to you. The first thing she does is she becomes unusually aware of herself. Now, this is where most men get confused. They think confidence equals attraction, that if she's laughing loudly, talking freely, touching you constantly, she must be into you. Sometimes that's true, but often the strongest attraction shows up as restraint. She starts thinking about how she looks, how she sounds, how she's being perceived by you specifically. You'll notice tiny pauses in her speech, like she's choosing her words more carefully, not because she's nervous in a weak way, but because your opinion suddenly matters more than she expected it to. She might adjust her posture when you walk in, fix her hair without realizing. Her body is responding before her mind even catches up. And here's the part most men miss. She's not doing it to impress everyone. She's doing it for you. That's why it only happens when you're around. Watch closely. Does she behave one way with others and then slightly shift when she's with you? Does her tone soften? Does her attention sharpen? That contrast is everything, because attraction creates awareness and awareness creates change. But here's the deeper truth. She might not even admit it to herself yet. That's why these signs feel inconsistent. One moment she's warm, the next she's distant. One moment she's engaged, the next she pulls back. It's not confusion, it's internal conflict. She feels something, but she hasn't decided what to do about it yet. And that's your window, not to chase her, not to impress her, but to understand her. Because once you start seeing these subtle shifts, you stop relying on guesswork. You stop overthinking every message, every interaction, every silence. You start reading the truth beneath the surface, and that changes how you show up, because the man who understands attraction doesn't need to force it. He recognizes it. And right now, there are signs you've probably overlooked, moments you brushed off, signals you misread. But once you see them clearly, you won't unsee them again. The second thing she does is she gives you attention in a way that doesn't make logical sense. Not constant attention, not obvious attention, selective attention. And this is where most men completely misread the situation, because you've been taught that if a woman is attracted to you, she'll make it easy. She'll respond quickly, show up consistently, make her interest clear. But real attraction doesn't always look like clarity. It often looks like contradiction. She might take hours to reply, but when she does, her message is thoughtful, specific, and emotionally tuned to you. She remembers things you said days ago, small details that even you forgot you mentioned. That's not casual, that's focus, and focus is expensive. People don't give it unless something or someone matters. You'll notice that when you speak, she actually listens. Not the surface level nodding you get from most people, but a deeper kind of listening where she's trying to understand you, not just respond. She asks follow-up questions that feel personal, not intrusive, but intentional. It's like she's studying you without making it obvious. And here's where it gets even more interesting. She doesn't do this with everyone. Watch her in a group setting. Notice how she interacts with others, light, easy, maybe even distracted. But when her attention shifts to you, something tightens, her presence sharpens. It's almost like the world fades slightly in the background. And for a moment, it's just you and her in that space. But then she pulls back. And that's the part that confuses you, because just when you think, okay, she's into me, she creates distance. Maybe she ends the conversation early. Maybe she redirects her attention. Maybe she becomes a little harder to read. That push and pull, it's not a game, it's emotional regulation. When attraction builds, it creates tension inside her, and sometimes she needs to step away just to regain control of herself. Because the truth is, attraction makes people feel exposed, especially women who are used to being in control of how they're perceived. So instead of leaning in fully, she leans in just enough, then retreats before it becomes too obvious. And if you don't understand this pattern, you'll misinterpret it as disinterest. You'll think if she liked me, she'd be consistent. But consistency is a luxury of certainty, and attraction, real attraction, is messy before it becomes clear. So don't just look at how often she gives you attention. Look at the quality of it. Is it deeper than what she gives others? Is it more intentional, more focused, more personal? Because if it is, then you're not imagining it. You're just seeing something most men are too distracted to notice. And once you understand this, you stop chasing surface level validation. You start recognizing real interest even when it hides behind mixed signals. The third thing she does is she tests you, but not in the way you think. Not with games, not with manipulation, with subtle pressure. Because when a woman is truly attracted to you, she doesn't just want to feel something, she wants to know if you're worth feeling it for. And that's where most men fail without even realizing it. She'll say something slightly challenging. Maybe she disagrees with you out of nowhere. Maybe she teases you in a way that feels just a little too sharp. Maybe she questions your opinion, your confidence, or your direction. And if you're not aware, it feels like she's pulling away, like she's losing interest. But what she's actually doing is watching how you respond. Do you fold? Do you become defensive? Do you start seeking her approval, or do you stay grounded, calm, unshaken? Because attraction doesn't just need emotion, it needs safety. Not the soft, predictable kind of safety, but the kind that comes from knowing you're emotionally stable, that you don't crumble under pressure, that you don't lose yourself just because she challenged you. When she tests you, she's not trying to push you away. She's trying to see if you push yourself away. And the moment you overreact, over-explain, or try too hard to win her back, something shifts. She feels it. That subtle drop in your confidence, that quiet neediness that slips through your words, and attraction starts to fade. Not because you said the wrong thing, but because you showed the wrong energy. But here's the part no one tells you. If she's testing you, it means she's already invested. Women don't test men they don't care about. They ignore them, they dismiss them, they move on without a second thought. Testing requires attention, and attention is currency. So when she pushes back, don't panic. Pause. Watch yourself, because this is where you either separate yourself from every other man she's dealt with, or you fall into the same pattern she's already seen 100 times. The man who gets reactive, the man who tries to impress, the man who starts performing instead of being. But the man she remembers is the one who stays centered, who smiles at the challenge instead of shrinking from it, who doesn't need to prove himself because he already knows who he is. That energy, it's rare, and rarity creates value. So the next time she challenges you, don't see it as rejection. See it as an invitation, a moment where she's quietly asking, are you different, or are you just like the rest? And your answer won't come from what you say. It will come from how you hold yourself when she tries to shake you. The fourth thing she does is she starts opening small emotional doors, then watches if you notice. Not big confessions, not dramatic vulnerability, small, almost invisible glimpses into her inner world. Because when a woman is attracted to you, she doesn't immediately give you access to everything she feels. She gives you pieces, carefully selected, lightly presented, easy to miss if you're not paying attention. She might casually mention something that bothered her earlier that day, or hint at a past experience without going into detail, or share a thought that's just a little more personal than what she tells everyone else. And to most men, it sounds like normal conversation, but it's not. It's an opening, a quiet test of emotional awareness. She's not just seeing if you hear her, she's seeing if you feel her. Do you pick up on the shift in tone? Do you notice the slight hesitation before she speaks? Do you respond with presence, or do you brush past it and bring the conversation back to something surface level? Because in that moment, she's not measuring your words, she's measuring your depth. And here's the truth. Attraction for a woman isn't just physical or logical, it's emotional recognition, the feeling that you see her beyond what she shows the world. So when she opens those small doors and you walk right past them, something closes. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough for her to pull back and tell herself, he doesn't get it. But when you notice, when you slow down just enough to meet her in that moment, when you respond in a way that shows you actually understand what she's feeling, something shifts, her guard softens, her energy warms because now she feels safe being seen. And that's rare. Most men listen to reply, very few listen to understand, and women know the difference immediately. But here's where it gets deeper. She won't make it obvious. She won't say, hey, I'm opening up to you, please respond correctly. No, she'll keep it subtle, because part of attraction is discovery. She wants to feel like you naturally understand her, not that she has to teach you how. So she watches, she observes, she sees if you lean in or stay on the surface, and based on that, she decides how much more of herself she's willing to reveal. This is why some connections feel like they grow effortlessly while others stay stuck in small talk. It's not about how long you've known her, it's about how deeply you've seen her. So the next time she shares something that feels slightly more personal than usual, don't rush past it, don't minimize it. Pause, lean in, because that moment, it's not just conversation, it's access. And how you handle it determines whether she opens the next door or quietly closes the one she's already shown you. The fifth thing she does is she finds subtle ways to stay in your orbit, even when she doesn't have a reason to. And this is one of the most overlooked signs because it never looks intentional. It feels accidental, coincidental, like she just happens to be there. But it's not random. When a woman is attracted to you, proximity becomes a quiet priority, not obvious chasing, but strategic presence. She might show up in places where she knows you'll be, not in a way that screams effort, but just enough that your paths cross more often than they logically should. Online, she might watch your stories quickly, consistently, not always reacting, not always engaging, but always there. In person, she positions herself within your environment, close enough to be noticed, far enough to not feel obvious. And if you're not paying attention, you'll dismiss it as coincidence. But patterns don't lie, because people move toward what they're drawn to, even when they're trying to be subtle about it. You'll start noticing that she lingers after conversations end. She doesn't rush away. She stretches the moment, adds one more comment, one more question, one more reason to stay connected just a little longer. And it's never forced. It flows naturally, but it's deliberate, because attraction creates a desire for closeness, but controlled closeness. She doesn't want to overwhelm you. She doesn't want to expose herself too much. So instead, she creates opportunities, small windows where interaction can happen without pressure. And here's the deeper layer most men completely miss. She's watching, if you notice, not in an obvious way, but internally. Because if you recognize her presence, if you engage with her, if you meet her halfway, it validates her instinct. It tells her, I'm not alone in this. But if you stay oblivious, if you treat those moments like they don't matter, she starts to withdraw, not because she lost attraction, but because she doesn't feel it being received. And attraction that isn't acknowledged eventually fades, not instantly, but gradually. So she begins to protect herself. She stops showing up as often, stops lingering, stops creating those subtle opportunities. And from your perspective, it feels like she just lost interest, but in reality, she just stopped trying. That's why awareness matters, because attraction isn't always about what she says or what she does directly to you. It's about how she positions herself around you. The invisible effort, the quiet consistency, the moments that seem small, but repeat just enough to form a pattern. So ask yourself, how often does she randomly appear in your space? How often does she extend moments that could have ended earlier? How often is she there without needing to be? Because when you start connecting those dots, you realize something powerful. She's not just crossing your path, she's choosing it. The sixth thing she does is she mirrors you, but never perfectly. And this is where attraction becomes almost invisible, because it hides inside familiarity. When a woman is attracted to you, her body and behavior begin to align with yours naturally, unconsciously. If you speak calmly, her tone softens. If you slow down, she slows down. If you joke, she opens up more playfully. It's not imitation, it's synchronization. And synchronization is one of the deepest indicators of connection. But here's why most men never notice it. Because it doesn't feel like a signal. It feels like things are just flowing. Like conversation is easy, like there's no resistance, and you assume that's normal, but it's not. That kind of alignment doesn't happen with everyone. It happens when she's tuned into you. When she's paying attention on a level that goes beyond words, you might notice she starts using phrases you use, laughing at the same rhythm, matching your energy without even realizing it. But she'll never copy you exactly, because she's still maintaining her identity. It's a dance, not a reflection. And if you shift your energy, watch closely. She adjusts, not instantly, not obviously, but gradually. And that's how you know it's real, because forced behavior is rigid, attraction-driven behavior is fluid. Now, here's where it becomes powerful for you. When you recognize this pattern, you stop chasing chemistry. You start creating it, because instead of reacting to her, you become aware of how your presence shapes the interaction. Your calm makes her calm. Your confidence steadies her. Your focus deepens her attention. And suddenly, you're not guessing anymore. You're leading without forcing. But here's the final truth most men never hear. Attraction is fragile in the early stages, not weak, but sensitive. It grows in subtle moments, and it dies in obvious mistakes. Over-pursuing, over-questing, overthinking every signal until you break the natural flow. The moment you try too hard to confirm it, you disrupt it. That's why the men who understand this move differently. They don't rush, they don't pressure. They don't need constant validation, because they see what others miss. They feel what others ignore, and they trust the process instead of forcing the outcome. So now I want you to be honest with yourself. Think about one woman in your life right now, not every woman, just one. And ask yourself this simple equation. Attention plus consistency multiplied by emotional depth minus confusion. What does that equal in your situation? Is she showing up? Is she investing even subtly? Or are you filling in the gaps with your own assumptions? Drop your answer in the comments, because once you put it into words, you'll see the truth more clearly. And if this opened your eyes even a little, like the video, subscribe and share it with one man who keeps misreading the signs and losing women he never even realized were already drawn to.